Welcome back to the Hooligan's Pitch. Post-Hawaii trip. We're both still a little tired, but we're going to bust this out. Going to talk footy. Get back in action. As always, it's Chad.
And Michael, and I'm still feeling a little mahalo, but it is wearing off. The last day that we were there, you departed, a day prior, but I got so sunburnt that last day, Chad. It was pretty bad. And I don't know if you can tell. You probably can't on camera, but I'm still pretty pink.
Maybe a touch, yeah.
I'm pretty pink up here, and we were all sitting on the beach sunscreening up, and Harris set a timer for 15 minutes. All right, gotta let it soak. I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna get in the water. That's what I said, and I did, and then I paid for it.
Paid the price.
Not severely, but it didn't feel great. So
yeah,
but we're tanning.
I was actually surprised. Like, we all did pretty good.
Yeah,
with the sun and not getting burnt right away. So if it's at the end of the trip, like, it's still a win. You
last
did pretty
day,
good.
whatever that like sunscreen paste from Whole Foods was, that I don't know what that was. That was not a Whole Foods thing I would get again. That wasn't it. But anyway, good to be home. Glad to be back on a routine. Our vacation was awesome. Shout out to Miles. I know he listens to our podcast every now and then.
Yeah.
So this is for you. But yeah, let's get into things. I'm gonna pop my beer because I've been thirsty ever since we've been updating our points. I am drinking a Youngling Golden Ale. It's kind of an East Coast staple. There's a lot of beers out there. I don't even know if they bring these to California, but it's pretty good. And then my little souvenir, I love Hawaii beer magnet. So that's what we're using to open.
Very nice, very nice. I had to capitalize on the limited availability of the Summerfest beer from Sierra Nevada. It's nice light lager for the summer. Refreshing.
I feel that. Cold,
yes.
most important.
Yes.
All right, well, let's jump into the Women's World Cup here because it's been a minute since we talked about it. I thought the semifinal games were super exciting. Really, out of the last four teams, no one really had a good idea of who was going to take it all. Of course, there was probably a tier list, and I do think the finalists were probably on the upper half of that list. But honestly, it could have gone either way for any of those teams. Super close games, fun, exciting matches, great PKs. Pretty dramatic, I think, in terms of Women's World Cup.
Yeah, I mean, this is like the perfect advertisement for the women's game, right?
For
like,
sure.
if none of these games are too dull. I think, even through the group stages, I think everything was mostly exciting. But yeah, especially these later stages, like, I mean, that France-Australia game and then came down to the PKs, and
crazy.
It was just what, like 10, 11 rounds of PKs or something like that? Like, nuts.
Well, whenever you make a keeper change at the end of the game, it's like, okay, you better be on it. And both keepers were on it. I think the only real mishap there was Arnold missing a PK, but then coming right back and saving one, and then getting disqualified for the save, and then doing it again. It's like, wow, that was a crazy sequence of three shots.
Yeah,
so
that whole shootout was like made for a movie.
For sure. Yeah. I feel like I wanted at that point Australia to win it all just because of how dramatic that was. And we were actually watching that game in the airport at 5 a.m. I don't know. I don't even know where I was at that point. But we were watching the game live, and that was super fun because Chris and I were getting hype while waiting in line to get on our plane. I'm sure people are like, what the hell is going on with these two? But yeah, that was super fun. But let's talk the finals. England, Spain, I would say probably the best. There were, 1-2 out of the best 5 teams we probably saw. Not too surprised. Those were the 2 teams in the finals, especially how England won last year. And Spain just kind of rolling through. The really only hiccup was Japan, which I think you and I were on agreement that Japan was probably going to win this thing a couple weeks ago.
For sure.
So super consistent for both teams. It didn't seem like England had a challenge, though.
Yeah, that was my only thing with England's tournament is like they never really had to come up against anyone too big, and they still sometimes seem to struggle to get through games. Like, I mean, they clearly didn't lose the whole time except for the final, so they did well, but like wasn't overly convinced by them at any point.
But they're handling teams too. It wasn't. It seemed like they were on cruise control for a majority of the tournament. But then Spain, they had to go through a tough Dutch team. They had to fight off Japan, and then that 5-1 loss I think against Japan was just like whoa.
Wake up call, I
I think
think.
it was. Yeah, it was almost similar to kind of Argentina when they were in a weird phase and they needed to pick it up. And it's like those tough games in the group stage just kind of give you a little bit more urgency for games in the future, rather than the teams who kind of walk on through, don't get challenged till the end. It's like, I don't know, it's kind of unexpected. At least that's what the vibe I got from the England squad.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. Like, it just the different levels of energy, especially in the final. Like, Spain looked really up for it. England maybe less so. Like,
Yeah,
they were definitely in the game, but I think they're playing more into Spain's game rather than trying to play how they wanted to.
for sure. And I do think the intensity picked up, especially after the Earps PK saved. It seemed like England was like, okay, it's time to go. But that only lasted, honestly, a couple minutes. They were running so hard. They looked so tired. I mean, the injury time, what was it at? It was plus 13 or something?
Something like that, yeah.
And I feel like a majority of that was used for more injuries.
Yeah. yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know. I just wanted to see a little bit more from England. Like, they had 2, maybe 3 times where it looked like they were finally getting the momentum and turning it on. But then they just struggled to play out of Spain's press and
Yeah.
would just boot the ball downfield, give it right back to Spain, and then momentum's gone. Spain's, back on the attack. And um, yeah, a bummer for English fans, but as a neutral in that situation, I thought it was still a pretty good game. So
I agree. And it's
okay.
it's kind of nice when England doesn't win, too.
Yeah.
USA just gets to hold on to that, I don't know, that championship caliber over them. And I feel like England's always striving to win something, and they just have struggled, men or women. But yeah, USA has some work to do, I think, in the future.
Certainly,
if they want to be back in that realm of top teams. I mean, it's crazy how many other teams right now are just booming in terms of how much money they're putting into the women's game, and they're just kind of, I don't want to say they're surpassing us, but they definitely did this year for sure. So
Yeah.
they got some work to do.
I think this whole tournament would probably have been, USA's kind of wake up call. That they're not. It's not like them and Japan as the top dogs anymore, like Netherlands and stuff. Like, all these other countries are kind of building their women's side of the game and investing well. And I don't think the U.S. has really changed what they've done. But there's not been a clear shift of the old guard to the new guard, right? Like, this team was still kind of older, more experienced players, a handful of young ones, but then, like, you're still trying to pull Rapinoe in, and, like, I don't know, you want her to just, like, win the whole thing in these limited amount of minutes she's actually playing.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where USA goes. I don't think they will stay down too long, just because our women's team has been pretty dominant for so long. I think they'll look to get back to winning ways pretty quickly.
Yeah, the world caught up to us. That's for sure. And I think, the women's team was even like, they put themselves on a pedestal, like right from the start of this tournament, saying, we're the team to be. And you saw I probably saw the comments coming out from other teams saying like, oh yeah, they were cocky as hell and they got put in their place. So deserved.
Fair enough.
Yeah, kind of maybe. Karma. Yeah, you could say that too. So
and all the marketing around it of like, three-peat, we're the team to be. Like, Women's World Cup is on, but it's just the USA.
Oh, God. Yeah, that can't happen next time around. There's no way.
Yeah, that got a little bit too much for sure.
Is there anything else you want to talk about as far as the women's game go? I know there's late drama with Spain, but we don't really need to dive into that. Go look that one up on your own.
Yeah. No, I think just, it was a fun tournament, and, World Cup, men or women, is always fun. And, if the women's game could make the strides from this World Cup compared to the last one, it's already like a pretty big jump in quality and fun. Like, just keep it rolling. Let's get the women's game up there more and Cool. I'm in. I like to watch.
Imagine if it was on a time zone where we could all participate and like party. It would have been a way different energy to it as well. So the fact that at least record number TV viewers were coming in at whatever the times were, midnight, 3 a.m., 5 a.m., like that's impressive themselves. So if they would have been on normal times, it probably would have been booming even more. So yeah, I look forward to keeping up with them and seeing how just the women's game progresses, because it's just vastly different from the men's game.
Oh yeah,
it's so crazy, especially the PKs and where they're shooting and kind of the whole style of play. It's not so aerial. So yeah, it's cool. I enjoyed this past month. So congrats to Rad for being the survivor. He did pull his Spain flag, which was neat to see on camera. I went back and looked at it. I called his name. He pulled the flag. And then congrats to Mark. We haven't said it officially yet, but Mark won our Player Pool World Cup.
Yeah.
So 2 Colombia guys pulling in strong. The Midwest is coming. I was telling Kristen, I was like, Kristen, like I've never lost a World Cup. I've won EPL a couple times. I was like, we move out here. I'm like, hey, everyone come join our league. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, you've had your time at the top, and
my golden era is over.
Yep.
Speaking of Chad, perfect segue.
Let's do it.
Quote me on it. City is not going to win the title this year.
Oof, it's a hot take.
Hey man, when fans
coming out early with it,
when I'm ready to go. I just got goosebumps. I just saw the clip of a fan telling Pep, "You need to make a sub," and Pep getting into it with a fan. Like, what is this? That's what Pep's doing now.
I mean, look, they. The Pep fan thing, like, Pep he's gonna play however he wants, right? And he's been there so long. I just think he doesn't want to take it from the fans, even if it is in jest. But he's during game time much more serious than I think you want to joke around with.
Okay, but do you think that fan is partially correct?
I mean, to not make any subs is a bold move and kind of a pointless move unless you really have no option on the bench, which I didn't look, but I'm sure they had plenty of option they could have went to try and.
I guess. I mean,
so.
Here's my take. Okay, City has a fucking quality starting 11. They got Calvin Phillips, and then they got academy players. Look at their roster, Chad. I'm telling you. Ake is good. He's probably the next best besides. He's probably better than Phillips, but they're pretty much set right now as far as their backline goes. Now Stones is injured, huge. Ruben Diaz is injured. I mean, that's just more quality to your backline, but the depth I don't think is as good as other squads. So when they beat Burnley, no surprise there. I think we all kind of saw that coming. Super tough ask of newly promoted Burnley to come in and beat the champions. Like, that was never expected. Now, I don't think Castle played to their best quality either. However, I thought City was just a little bit better than Castle. They had a great goal by Alvarez. Foden was all over the place. But take those 2 players out, I didn't see anything that was so great about City. Haaland looked tired, which is wild to think that this 23-year-old goal-scoring beast could look tired.
He was playing Fortnite all night,
Is that true? Did he come out and say that?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know.
Wouldn't surprise me. Kovacic, I almost want to see him on the ball more just because he is so creative, but I think...
I think you can give him a pass for now. Like, he's still
that's
new
fair.
to the system. But I mean, I get, Newcastle kind of just set up to not just defend, but they weren't really pulling themselves out of position too often to try and make anything happen on their end. So it is that hard battle of trying to break them down. But City should be used to that. Every team they play against is just setting up in a low block to try and not let them score, and they still find a way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hadn't really looked into their depth too much, but, looking at it now, you make a good point that not looking great.
It's slim, and I was mistaken. Diaz did play. He didn't play week 1. But I do think, sure, that fan who said make a sub, I think he was right to make a sub. However, Pep is going, who the hell do I sub?
Yeah.
So like you're in that weird state where it's like, okay, I trust my 11, but after that, besides my I guess my defensive minded players, there's not much to go off of. And that's why I think without De Bruyne, this team is going to struggle just a little bit. No Gundogan anymore to hold off the ball and let De Bruyne find that spacing. No more Mahrez to come in and provide agility on the wings.
Yeah.
It's vastly different from the last, what, they've three-peated. So I just don't think I don't think the fourth is coming. And I know we're 2 weeks in, anything can happen, but just off of first glance, despite being 2-0 with how many goals now? 4 goals, 4-0. I'm sorry, that's the way I see it. And they might change my mind later, but I like hot takes, and I think that's a pretty spicy one.
I mean, my only counter here is that City tends to start slow and then pick up mid-season and just never lose again. But that's off the back of a healthy Kevin De Bruyne.
Yep.
A healthy, somewhat deep bench. Which De Bruyne I think is probably a little bit worse than they've let on. Like they wanted to spend like 100 million or 80 million, whatever it was, on Paqueta, and it's like that kind of came out of the blue. I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he's necessarily at City level, but I think they saw De Bruyne's injury is either serious enough to keep him out a long time, or like it's something that just will keep reoccurring. So then they're like, well, we got to find someone to step in here. And Paqueta's like kind of that same deeper lying midfield creative player. I mean, that move I think has fallen apart with some stuff that some gambling stuff that came out, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's a hot take. I'd like to see it come true. Regardless of who takes the championship, if it's not City, that would be just a nice change.
I just think there's so much more quality. I think the depth this year is going to be so important. And City had such long seasons the past 3 to 4 seasons. Oh, yeah. The amount of work they've put in is just going to burn them this year. So I wouldn't be surprised if De Bruyne doesn't come back at all this year if things aren't looking top notch for them. That wouldn't shock me. Why not just give your best player of the year? You did it all last year. You did everything you wanted to accomplish the last 10 years in 1 year last year. It's okay to take a break. I'm going to compare this to the NBA just really quick. Golden State went on their crazy dynasty run. They took 1 year off. The next year they won the championship. I swear to you, it's just because they all got a year's rest. And now, granted, it wasn't a full year's rest for players, but that little regroup for guys who are in their 30s can go so far. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a year off. Would it shock me if they don't make top 4? Yes, it would shock me. I think they'll still be top 4. There's no reason why they shouldn't be with the amount of talent they have. I just think it'll be more of a regrouping year as far as what they need to accomplish. So I'm just grabbing my note here. I do have them finishing second. Both of us have us finishing second. I think if you were to ask me that question again today, I think third or fourth is now where I would peg them.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, kind of like I talked to you about at kind of when we were texting, just like having won everything to then motivate everyone to like, let's do the same thing again this year.
It's hard.
Is going to be hard because like, you've been winning the league, and that's almost been like their fallback victory, right? Like the pinnacle was Champions League, and each season they would get to round of 16 or semis, and fall out of there, and it's like, all right, well, let's just win the league again.
Make people happy,
deal.
Right?
Yeah, but then to like now finally achieve that goal of Champions League and everything else, like I think the motivation aspect might be a little bit difficult on that, like especially for the older players who are like, okay, well, in my career now, like I've hit everything I wanted to hit, so we'll see. I mean, you would hope that they would come into a season, energized and fresh and want to win as much as they can again, but also it's a long journey and a lot of games to play, and Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't want to count them out fully yet because I know that they always do this.
I
But
know. It's week 2.
yeah, fingers crossed. Your take is correct. I would just like to see someone else win the Premier League.
Yeah. Everyone loves the dynasty when it's their own team, but everyone hates the team when it's someone else. So that,
Yeah,
again, I can't wait to see what happens. I'm excited
yeah,
to see how the season goes. It's been such an exciting start, and maybe we can kind of keep going off of this. And we just saw Arsenal play. What would you grade them today?
um, maybe like going out of 10
Yeah,
or what?
or ABCD.
Oh, we'll go ABCD then. I want to say like a C.
Yeah,
Like they weren't great. Even before the red card and everything, they just couldn't really get too much going. And I think that's maybe more of a credit to Palace for setting up really well and staying disciplined. But um, yeah, it's not the flying start to the season like Arsenal had last season. And granted, there's some positional changes in there, new players. Yeah, I mean, lucky to get away with a win. I think there, pretty early red card is never good to see, and then it was like just pure sit back and defend mode. And
yep.
um, I think Tomiyasu's both his yellows are pretty harsh on him, but
That was brutal.
You play with the cards you're dealt, I guess.
Literally, the 5-second rule on him was so ridiculous. And then it's like
Yeah.
if you're gonna make that call, the yellow card specifically on the throw in, you have to you have to do that the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like I get it. It is a rule. Keepers do it all the time. People, waste a little bit, but if you call it once, you have to be consistent. So then every player who's taking a throw in, if they're taking longer than Tomiyasu, you have to give them a card too. So like what at the 59th minute you really think Arsenal's trying to waste that much time when he was not wasting time. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, if anything, Havertz had the ball for much longer right before he handed
Yes.
it to Tomiyasu. So like, if you want to stop the play there because the whole thing is taking too long, cool. But then like give that yellow to Havertz, right? Because he's really the one that was wasting time in that situation where Tomiyasu just got the ball, does like 2 maybe 3
Dude,
looks
it was
around, and then it
nothing.
gets a yellow. It's like, come on, man, you gotta let them look a little bit. I get you want to get the game back in action, and crowd's kind of on you too, but it's an especially harsh yellow considering the second yellow he gets too. So,
Yep.
which I think is for me not yellow worthy, if even a foul, because Ayew just kind of turns and falls on his own. It looks like. I mean, Tomiyasu has like a hand kind of on his hip, but it didn't look like he was pulling or grabbing shirt or anything. Dude just kind of falls over, and I get he was like kind of on a break, but I don't know. That's a tough one to take.
I feel like the ref's face too when he gave him that yellow was like, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like there's been harder fouls in this game alone where no yellows were given. So then to like see Tomiyasu get a yellow for that and it being a second yellow was just like it's just bad. But I mean, I think that's a little bit more reflective of just the refereeing this week in general with
Wild.
5 red cards.
5. Fulham, Liverpool, Wolves, and West Ham, and then Arsenal.
Phew.
Yeah, that's a lot. I thought Eze had a great move in the box. I do think, I'm kind of neutral here. I do think Partey caught him.
I think the reason they didn't, and it was hard to see, but I think on one angle, I think from the end line, I think Partey gets his foot to the ball first and knocks it a little bit, and then Eze's knee or shin or whatever hits Partey. But I mean, yeah, that could have went either way.
It could have. And they didn't really give us a solid, like, slow motion replay.
Yeah.
And if VAR didn't give that to the ref either, then okay, like that's so hard to make that call off of that. So I understand why he was like, okay, no foul there. The little brush up though for Arsenal's PK when Partey came. Right, that's correct. Partey came in, kind of like hip bumped him a little bit, and then that's when Saka flew out on the side and earned the PK.
Okay,
Oh, I'm sorry,
yeah.
Nketiah. Yes. I thought that was fine. People bump into each other like that all the time without the ball,
Yeah.
so I'm really glad they didn't pull that one back.
Yeah, right when they like showed the replay, I was like, oh, they're gonna look at that little bump there. But I mean, yeah, any of those like corner or set piece situations, like the guys are all over each other,
Oh, they're
pushing each
like,
other and stuff. So like to then nitpick it would have been just too much. But um, yeah, I mean, Nketiah is like, while yes, it's a penalty, it's one of those where like he kicks the ball away from goal and keeper, and then keeper hits him. So like I get by letter of the law he was taken out, but really that play's dead at that
he
point.
was not going to the goal at all.
So I, I for a split second thought, when VAR looks at it and checks it, they were just going to say no because of that, which I would have understood. Glad to see it wasn't, and it proved to be the all important goal in this game. But I think that's maybe something VAR should be a little bit harder on. Like, it's just, you could win a PK pretty easy and kick the ball the complete opposite direction.
Yeah. What do you think of Odegaard taking that PK instead of Saka?
I think it was smart. Saka's been through preseason and stuff. They did some PKs at the end of the games, regardless of the score, and I think he missed one or maybe two. And Odegaard has looked pretty confident each time, and got in the back of the net pretty easy. And I think he's probably just good to have a handful of players
For sure.
that can take a PK confidently, because like the commentators were saying, the keeper's probably done his research and like, okay, well, if it's a PK, Saka takes it. He normally goes to this side, kind of has him figure it out for the most part. But then if you give him the switch to Odegaard or any other player, then it's like either he hasn't done any research on him or not enough to really feel confident in trying to stop that. So
Yep.
I think it's just good strategy, regardless of if you were worried if Saka would miss it or not. But yeah, and points for you in fantasy. So.
Boom. Let's go. We needed that one. All right. Well, speaking of just PKs and missing them, we'll jump to Liverpool here. Salah missed another PK. Yes, he followed it up and scored. But as a fan, that's concerning because he's missed now a lot. I think now his ratio is 4-1 compared to other players on our team who are just killing it in terms of PKs. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how much longer he is that man for the spot. I still trust him, but the trust is a little shaky right now.
Yeah. It's just that hard situation, too, of like, you want him to score it, so then he just kind of gets the monkey off the back and, can move forward and be confident in his PKs again. But at the same time, it's like, if you're offered a PK, you want to make sure you score that. So you maybe just switch him out for, I don't know, whoever your backup or next best taker would be. But
it's going to be a mix. I mean, it really can be a mix of players. Jota, we have Diaz would step up. Hell, Gakpo. McAllister, he's definitely taken a few for Brighton in the past too. Yeah.
Took one at the World Cup too.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see whose call that is to finally make that happen. But now, Pool being 2 games in, I'm pretty happy with where we're at. I think our team is clicking. The big mistake that we made as far as letting up our goal today was Trent with a terrible touch, and it kind of left Virgil on a rough island. And I don't know if you saw that goal that Bournemouth got, but him and Virgil and Robinson bumped into each other. It was just like chaos. And it was like, and then of course they scored, and like Robertson and Virgil look at Trent like, bro, like that. It was like, what was that? And luckily we had plenty of time to make up for it. And nomination for goal of the week, Diaz, man. Woo! That was spicy. Spicy.
Anytime a player has that composure to just receive the ball and like flick it up and hit it, and especially score off of it, it's just always so fun to watch.
I love our attack. Our attack is, besides Salah, our attack is so young and so fast. And Salah being this like kind of like anchor rock where he's kind of changing what he's doing as far as, he's not going to be that sprinter anymore down the line.
Yeah.
He can do it a couple times a game, but I don't think that's going to be his MO. But
Yeah.
man, I really like our squad right now. And then getting Endo to kind of like cap it all off.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about the guy, but
Well, they called him Legendo in Germany, so I'm hoping that carries on and he becomes the legend for Liverpool. But he played in Germany for a long time. Klopp seems to love him. He was so happy to meet him. Salah, I saw a couple clips of him just meeting the players. Super humble. It looks like he's just gonna fit right in. So he's on the older side too. He's 30, so he's been around for a while. But I think he'll become a crowd favorite super fast, and he just kind of caps off what we were trying to do. The Caicedo transfer saga, like, sure would have loved to have him, but now, here we go, Chad, ready for the segue? I'm kind of glad we don't have him, to be honest. After watching him give up a PK, watching Enzo miss a PK.
yeah.
What's our over-under right now on Pochettino being Chelsea's manager?
Already? Oh no. I mean,
I said it.
I mean, look. You start your year against Liverpool, Liverpool, always going to be a draw. They could have not played the game, and it would have been the same.
Knew it was coming.
But I mean, their performance against West Ham, and I watched this game, so like, because I was interested. Like, Chelsea's is weird.
They're fascinating.
Project idea team at the moment, and I think they started that game pretty well. Like they were on the attack pretty good, and they got the goal kind of early on, and then second half they just died. They couldn't do anything, and even when West Ham went down to 10 men, it was like it reminded me of watching Leeds last year, where they would get down to the box and just not have an idea of what to do. And then it just kind of fizzled out, and I like turned it off I don't know, maybe 88th minute or something, expecting it to end 2-1, and then checked again, it ended 3-1. I was like, you're up a player, like, how are you giving away a goal, especially a penalty? Like, what are you doing? But yeah, I don't know. Caicedo's debut, certainly one to forget for him.
Chad, I have him
pretty high.
I put him 4th on my list. Can I get a mulligan and maybe drop them down to 7, 8, 9? Because I don't know, man. I don't know. That doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't know what they will do to fix their problems.
I mean, they just. I don't know what's the project vision here beyond buying young and signing them onto like 8-9 year contracts. There doesn't seem to be any real like team vision. Like, they literally brought on Mason Burstow. You know this guy?
Dude, I'm looking at their whole roster right now.
You don't. He came from a League One team, and they threw him into this Premier League game to try and get a win. So it's like,
go get him, kid.
Talk about depth issues, and Chelsea certainly still has it, even after spending $900 million or whatever they've spent now since the new ownership came in.
I've read they have more obviously more transfers than wins, but I think they're all double now. They have double the transfers as wins when Bully took over.
Yikes.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense of what they're doing. I mean, yes, it is youth, but this youth is going to take a long time to develop. Your oldest player right now is Thiago, which, man, if he makes it to the end of this season, I'll be shocked. 38 years old. He's probably pulling every hair out of his skull at this point, because this team is just a hot mess.
I don't think they have a good balance of experienced players and like young, exciting. They went so hard onto the young, exciting, like potential players that I don't know that we'll see any of those players reach their potential at Chelsea as it is now, because there's just like there's no base for them to build off of. Like they're expected to get in and perform, at 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 10 and 10 game every week. I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't think it's possible. I really don't. But on the flip side, West Ham, they look pretty good. I'll say they're starting off strong.
Our pod favorite, James Ward-Prowse,
JDP
debut, gets the 2 assists. I mean, Michael Antonio,
his goal
still
was
just
sick,
burning down the field, and like, so then you're quick young Chelsea players. Like, I get that this dude's big and like he can bully you around, but I mean, man, they couldn't even cope with that, and like, I don't know. Yeah, West Ham looked good. They fought well even after going down a guy. They stayed pretty compact. No one made any crazy pointless run or dribble. It's surprising coming off of how they looked at the end of last year, and having not made too many signings at the moment. But
yeah, I mean they did hit the stride last year after winning the Europa Conference, so they started out really, really poor. I mean, to be honest, last year felt like a fluke for them, considering the year prior they were a really good team. A couple moves here and there. Losing Rice is a big one, but getting Ward-Prowse is huge. And obviously he's just fitting in just fine. Who would have thought this guy, this creative midfielder who was a freaking legend at Southampton, would fit in? He could have fit in any squad and made them better right away. I don't know what the hesitation was for all these other teams who didn't want him because of his age or because they said he wasn't like good enough. I was like, what? He's been with Southampton and he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Am I crazy?
I like, if you're crazy, I'm right there with you, because like I have seen James Ward-Prowse in the Southampton team ever since I started really following the sport, and then okay, they go down. You figure everyone was swarming him, trying to get him out of that team. Whether you intend to really start him or not, like at least he has an incredible free kick. Set piece delivery is great,
World class.
He performs well in his kind of like deeper midfield role, but is still creative with that. So
he's a no drama player either.
Yeah, he's experienced. I don't know. I don't know what teams didn't see in him, but I'm glad he's back in the Premier League. Benefits to West Ham for paying whatever they paid to get him, and hopefully they reap the rewards. I mean, they already did one game with him, so
I think it'll pay off for them. So Chelsea, again, thought they would be looking better at this point. Again, 2 games in, but yikes, not good. Now, I will say, looking at other teams, there was one team that I thought would be crashing and burning right now, and that doesn't seem to be the case, and that is Tottenham. Now, this is a spicy hot take here. Do you think not having Kane on that team could potentially make them a little bit more, I don't want to say better, because I don't think they'll be better without him, but just a little less pressure to make Kane? I guess Kane was the guy who got the job done, but now I feel like everyone else has a little bit more responsibility that now that he's not there, and has to play a little bit harder, a little bit better, a little bit smarter. And I caught the game against Man U. God, Man U looked awful, but I also thought Tottenham didn't look that bad.
Okay.
Again, we've never said good things about Tottenham on this pod, and I don't think it'll happen for much longer, but I will say they did not look terrible. The ball was moving. Yeah. When they brought on Perisic, 35, and he's just doing whatever he wanted out on the wing. Again, it was the movement. I thought the movement was really, really good by them, and that's why the own goal happened. Man U looked like they didn't know what to do. That was a bad Man U game.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch it, but I saw the goals and everything. Yeah, I mean, I think a little bit what you're saying makes sense. Because Kane was your central figure, right? Like, almost every play was going through him or to him. And now you take him out, there's this, void in the setup now. So everyone kind of has to pitch in to fill that void. So I think you're kind of onto something there. Like, I mean, they brought in James Madison too, and like
That's the big one.
it's a big one. He creates a lot. Gets the ball into dangerous situations and stuff. I still think they need someone to kind of fill the goals that Kane brought, though. Like, Richarlison's not really doing it. Son, if he can get back to like a couple seasons ago form, can certainly do most of the heavy lifting there. But I mean, Kane was bringing 30 goals a season, and sometimes the only goal to get them the win in the game.
Right.
That's the big question mark for me still. But I mean, to put two past United and make them look terrible is pretty good, pretty good return for the day.
Could not believe how bad they looked. Luke Shaw looked like the only one who was trying his hardest out there, and with the temperament on Bruno and Anthony and just these players who are just like, I feel like ego driven.
Yeah.
When they go down or struggle to find the space or if they get a huge bump, it's like they just crumble. Man, they're soft. That's what I would say about them. They're really soft.
Yeah. I mean, I don't like Rashford as the striker.
Me too.
I think he's much better coming off the wing. But again, they don't really have an option there right now. They signed Holyund or whatever his name is, but he's kind of unproven.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's going to come in when he's fit and light up the league or anything. I haven't watched any, but I've heard Mason Mount still is looking pretty bad.
Didn't look awesome.
So
you could have put anyone else in his spot in that last game, and you'd have been like, okay, what's the difference between this $50 million signing and this random player you brought in?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely a big question mark there too.
Yeah. I mean, it's early, but I think there's definitely some cracks in Man U. I mean, even their game against Wolves, didn't seem to really light it up too much. They got by on a goal from Varane, which, sometimes is all it takes. But
yeah,
again, you're Anthony, you're Rashford, Bruno, Garnacho. None of these guys are scoring at the moment, and that's kind of a red flag. Yeah. But I think we do need to go to maybe the scariest team at the moment.
I agree. I know who you're talking about. I just got goosebumps again.
2 weeks in, both games, 4-1, Brighton, cruising.
Dude.
Year after year now, I don't know how they're doing it. Like, they lose some key players in the summer, bring in some weird no-name people that no one's ever heard of, or in this case, a young, sprightly James Milner at right back.
Damn right.
And man, yeah, they look great. I mean, Luton Town, first game in the Prem, so maybe that adds to it. But I mean, even against Wolves this week,
handled.
Shoo, yeah.
My third and final nomination goal of the week, Matoma, looking like prime Messi out there, knocking defenders off, sprinting past them, no problem, and then just slots it home. Man, that goal was spicy. Oh, that was so good. I'm gonna write another note, like Matoma. I'm just gonna be like Matoma's goal, because I'm just gonna start comparing like any sprint goals, solo goals like that, where you just take off and do it by yourself. That always holds a little special note for me, because you can carry a team like that. And when you have one player that can do that, and then you have other guys coming in like the young Ferguson that everyone's dying to get right now, and then you got 29-year-old Sully March, who really had a fire lit under him last year. I'm like, holy shit,
yeah.
that's a player right now that I'm surprised aren't on more of our fantasy teams. He was on my list, and I wish I made that change, but I have Matoma, who's doing excellent too. 1 goal, 2 assists to start the season, despite March's 3 goals. That's not much of a difference for me. But
yeah.
That team is connected. That is that's what Chelsea wants.
Yeah, for sure. Like, this team, even even with their changes, like they lost Sanchez in the back and they're rolling with Steele. This Enciso kind of made a appearance here or there last
Mm-hmm.
season, and now he looks like more part of the team.
Yep.
Matoma and March on the wings has been perfect. Like, I think they got a really good balance right now of the experienced guys and the young guys, and just exciting players, right? Like Matoma's kind of went under the radar for a lot of last season, and then like people took notice, and like here he is again, start of the season, starting with a bang. Ferguson looks like he's gonna be a real threat. Estupinian, just like didn't hear much about him last season, and all of a sudden like he showed up in our fantasy league this season, and
I noted him last year a couple times. He had a goal or two here and there, but the partnership with him and Dunk is so solid in the back, and we've known that. We've seen that for a long time. I want to say he's been in our fantasy league for the last, it feels like 10 years. Someone's always, it feels like it probably has been that long. And I think the chemistry behind those two players, Dunk knows, or I guess Estupiñán knows Dunk has his back, which is why you see these crazy runs so far up the pitch from him. I mean, they all know where they're going to be. That's what it seemed like to me. They all trust each other. I mean, how often last year we see Brighton players get mad at one another? Never. It seemed like never. So that's a team right now that I would love to replace on my top four, to get Chelsea out and put them in. And we can go on Brighton a little bit more, but Aston Villa showed up this week too, and I feel a lot better with how they played, and kind of 4 goals. That's a big one for them. Yes, it was against Everton, who I'm gonna double check my list here. I'm pretty sure we have them getting relegated. We didn't put them in our relegation zone. That was a mistake. I think Everton.
Neither one of us?
No. We had West.
I think we just forgot about them, honestly.
I think we thought they got relegated, and we just forgot. Yeah, I agree. They look awful. Calvert-Lewin hurt again. I don't know if you saw his face. Did you see it?
No, I did not.
Oh, well, Google that really quick and see what's wrong with his face. It looked like he was in an MMA fight with, I don't know, who was a big fight. One of the fights, he got socked in the face pretty hard, and his cheek was like golf ball size. He was bleeding a lot.
God, yeah, what the heck?
I don't know. I haven't seen him post game. I'm bringing it up right now, but it did look like oh my God, that's awful looking. It looks like he has a jawbreaker in his upper cheek.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So he might be out for a while. You take him out of the picture, and he didn't play much for Everton last year. I think if you take him out of the picture, you're screwed.
Yeah, I mean, already last season Everton just squeaked by, and I mean, I'm sure they've made some signings, but nothing of note that has come across my desk. Yeah, I don't know. I'm surprised we just kind of forgot about them in our predictions.
I'm telling you, I thought they got relegated. That's my bad. My bad.
Yeah, yeesh. Yeah, but I'm glad Villa looked much better this week. We were kind of hyped on them initially, and then Newcastle kind of made us second guess ourselves for a little bit there. But
yeah, Newcastle's quality. So I mean, we didn't really get to talk much about that game, but Newcastle, I think they deserve that win. They have the quality to put 5-1 on a team.
Yeah.
I think obviously Villa can do the same since they just did it to Everton. Losing Mings probably screwed them up a little bit.
Sure, yeah.
When you lose your rock of a defender over the last decade, that's got to like shake things up a little. So we'll see how they end up bouncing back, but at least this is the start of something for them. They're still, I think, super capable of at least getting to top 6. Top 4 again will always be a struggle for any team, but I think the balance of the league right now is totally like shifted, where I don't feel like we have this huge top 6 like you're going to be top 6 anymore. I feel like the bottom 7 through 13 are just going to really shake things up. So good on them for finding the victory against Everton, and they go against Burnley next. So I think, again, very capable of taking them and possibly doing the same thing, because they looked they look good. There's not a lot of holes with what they're doing right now, and if Martinez playing the way that he does and pinging long balls and finding the outlets, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to change my top four right now. Obviously, Chelsea's the one I want to move, but I'm still confident that Aston Villa could make it.
Yeah, I think if they can just get Tielemans kind of up to speed and like the last couple seasons at Leicester he was pretty quiet, but the times before that he always played well in that kind of creator role. So I think if Emery can get him back to that kind of role and that performance, then this Villa team will just be even more threatening.
Yep. I think take out that first game and they'll be all right in the long run. And then the last game we kind of didn't talk about, I guess we have a game on Friday too, was the Brentford game. Just quiet, get the job done.
Easy peasy.
Nice 3-0 win, and Buemo doing what we thought he would do. We were there, we noticed. With no Tony, like someone had to step up, and we were partially right on that end. So
yeah.
But no Ben Mee to start either for them. He's still out.
Yeah. Is he injured? I didn't look.
Yeah, he's got a little knock. I can tell you exactly what's going on with him in a second here, but I think they had him projected to be back at the end of this month.
Okay.
On the 18th, Ben will undergo check Saturday morning on the calf injury he suffered in preseason. He is set to return next Saturday. So he should be back in. The partnership with him and Pinnock is excellent as it was last year. Yeah. So that's got to feel good for Brentford to have those guys coming back. But then the other game, they played Fulham. Fulham, nothing too crazy. I think they're just going to continue to spiral after losing Mitrovic.
Yeah.
Not a lot of good things going on for them, if we have to be frank. And then we saw Matt Turner get his first EPL victory, which was super cool to see. Watch that on the plane ride. Good for him.
I think he's going to be a pretty good fantasy pick.
I think so too. I do. Forest, on the other hand, I don't know how they'll do in the long run. I do like their striker though. Remind me his name.
Awanyi.
Yeah, he's a dude. He's going to be like kind of the next for me Antonio. He's just big, bulky. He's going to be in your way. He probably should have had 2 goals in this game.
Yeah.
But I think Forest. I think we put him in our list to maybe go down. But if I had to miss 2-week change, I wouldn't put them in that anymore. I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah. Yeah, they're looking okay. I think as long as their key players can stay fit, like Awanyi, Gibbs White, Brennan Johnson, Willie Bawley has been playing now, so he's big in the back there.
Oh, Serge Aurier did great. He's actually a player that I would like to maybe throw in our next best. Because he was crossing balls in with some swerve. He was making runs down the line for good outlets. He is, I want to say, on the older side right now for the team.
So.
At least, God, if he's not 30, then
he's 30.
Okay, I was gonna say
he's young. He's young.
Yeah, he's young. Yeah, it must be nice. I just remember him from back. Oh man, I think he was on PSG, but I feel like even before that, he was with someone. Was he with someone else in the EPL? He
was on Spurs.
Tottenham. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that great over there.
No, it didn't go that well for him. And then I think he went. I think it was PSG.
Afterwards?
After that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Forest might be a little bit of an underdog situation this year. I don't think they'll go too crazy, but
mid-table for me. I think they'll stick around mid-table.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And as of now, we got 5 teams with 0 points. Sheffield, Luton, Burnley, Wolves, Everton. I think the 3 newly promoted teams, no surprise there. But Wolves and Everton. Wolves.
What are you doing?
Well, yeah, for real. Wolves, I'm like, okay. They struggled last year to start the season. Mm-hmm. They hung on. I could see them shifting around with some other teams. I want to just lock Everton in now. They got nothing going for them. I know we already talked about it a little bit, but not good.
Next weekend is Everton versus Wolves. So real relegation.
Oh yeah, early on. Let's get it started early. I did see a funny post after the Everton game. I don't know if it was on. I think it was probably on the Everton subreddit because I was going through all of them, and it was a dog laying on its bed with an Everton collar on with the game in the background. The title post was just "I'm so sorry," and I was like, "Yeah, take that off your dog."
Yeah.
So that was pretty good.
Yikes! Yikes!
All right.
Look, 2 weeks in, season started. Season's rolling.
No, I know.
We're going.
I'm so happy. I can't wait for next Saturday morning when I just get to wake up and drink coffee and sit on the couch and watch games. I'm like, we're so close.
And you got Newcastle versus Liverpool on Sunday. It's a big one.
Let's go. That is a big one. I hope I can watch it. Family's coming into town. We're gonna be busy. What time is that game? Do you have it on hand?
8:30 my time.
10:30. Okay, maybe a little brekkie game for the day starts. All right.
Yeah.
Maybe do a breakfast out and watch.
There you go.
All right, Chad. Do we get on to our nominations here?
I think so.
Okay, doke. I think we start with team,
Team.
and I got two.
Okay, go for it.
The one to probably no one's surprise is Brighton, just because they put on a molly-whopping on the Wolves.
True.
They're playing the best out of any team right now. If we had to take a whole segment on every team in the EPL, and they're just clicking on all ends. Every player is hustling for every ball, so I think they deserve to be the team of the week. My second one would be Tottenham. Never like giving Tottenham praise, but hey, you got to do it every now and then. Taking down Man U, pretty big deal for them. I feel like that could be a huge momentum booster for them in the future. Taking down a big name like that early in the season, I don't know. It kind of puts you on a different level, a different perspective on how the season might go, especially when you lost your best player of all time. Can we say that?
Yeah.
Harry Kane,
Yeah.
best Tottenham player of all time. And to come out with that type of style of play and the movement, I think they deserve to be in there too. So let me hear yours, and we'll kind of do a little debate on it.
I mean, yeah, I definitely have both of those. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with both of those actually. Like, I would probably lean. I want to say Brighton, but like they played Luton Town and Wolves, so like they should win, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where Spurs drew with Brentford and then took down United. So I think just for kind of the unknown of entering this season, what it was going to be like, I'd be good with Tottenham just because, like, I mean, a draw opening day away at Brentford is pretty solid. And then, to follow that up with a home win against United, it, answers to some extent the question marks people had once Harry Kane left and, once the new manager came in and all this. So I think Tottenham earned this team of the week nomination.
I'm with you. I hate doing it, but I'm with you.
Yeah. Well,
Get it to them early. Don't got to worry about them later.
Yeah, there you go.
Get them out of the way. All right. Why don't you start us off with player?
Player?
Yep.
I'm going to throw a shout out to Dominic Szoboszlai. He's not scored or anything, but dude is holding it down.
Yep.
He's performing really well. I saw a post the other day that someone said he's like a Gerrard regen because he made the same little bit, like a run through the midfields.
Is that when he shot too? It was after the run.
So.
Yeah,
I think so, yeah. So he looks great. I think he's fitting into that Liverpool midfields right away. Like, It looks like he's been there a while already. I'm afraid once he starts to get his shots off of what will happen, but he definitely gets a shout for player of the week. Definitely.
I mean, he was a big reason why the Jota goal came in, because it was a rebound tap in. Great hit. It's like curl it a little bit more, and that's going in goal. And he's only 23, Chad. So everyone's gonna have to deal with him for a long time.
Man, I'm jealous you guys got him.
So happy, so happy.
And my other shout out was going to be Sully March.
Okay.
One game in the open, or one goal in the opening game, 2 goals this weekend. Like you said, he's kind of been a different animal. I have this graphic, someone compared his performances pre Roberto De Zerbi and after, and just his everything per 90 has basically gone up like X3. Like
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. His dribbling's gone up, his shots have gone up, goals have clearly gone up. Even shots on target, like before he was 0.44 per 90, right now he's at 1.04. So like, granted, sample size is still smaller compared to the before, but he's on a great trajectory, and he's getting the goals too for Brighton. So
that was a big reason why I put him on my squad last year, was strictly the shots on target, because he was just it was like I remember a couple games it was like 6 or 7, and it's like he's a great poacher. And so I do have him on my list as well, with a slash for Matoma. March's goals, right place, right time is how I felt for him. Again, that takes nothing away with how he plays, and I just thought, for me, Matoma was the engine that game with the goal and assist. But March, again, was the one capping it off too. Without those two players, Brighton might not win 4-1. Yeah. So I think we're in agreement on March. I think Szoboszlai will have that opportunity to get it and be solidified in it. It's coming, but I think March, at least for the first 2 weeks, has earned it. I know we'll go on a 1 week sample here, but he killed it this week. He's the one he got the brace. I think he was the only player with a brace.
I think so.
So, when you score and your team wins, you definitely deserve it. But there are a lot of goals and assists for players this week. It won't shock me if Matoma is on our list soon for this, because he's just going to be a monster too. So if we're in agreement for March, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I like that pick.
Awesome. And now let's move on to goal. I said my 3 nominations as we were kind of moving. I did Alvarez, Matoma, and Diaz. Do you have any?
Definitely those 3 as well. Just looking through real quick to see if anything jumps out. No, I think like those are kind of the best ones that I saw this week. Like, definitely like some other good goals, but like these 3 I think were just the clear standouts.
Yep. The Alvarez goal, I'll just be straight up, number 3 for me. Great load up, great accuracy.
I think Pope could have done better though.
Yeah,
that was my only holdup with it.
He got a wrist on it almost, but his soft wrist.
I think he just I don't know if he jumps late or what, and I think the ball might have been like kind of curving away a little bit from him. But I mean, that you're right there. Like, you gotta
save that one.
At least tip it away if not a full save. Still a great goal, but I think number 3 for me as well.
This is like 1A, 1B for me.
I know. Look, in my heart of hearts, I'm on that Matoma goal because I love those goals where they cut through guys and run down and score. But I mean, Diaz with those little setup and kind of a bike. Like,
I'm gonna be honest. I think the Matoma goal could be the goal of the year for him. I think Diaz could do better. I know that's crazy. Like, that was an amazing goal by Diaz, but it will not shock me if he does something even wilder than what he did. Great setup, great finish, but from start to finish, Matoma, he did all that. That was him. He is him.
I'm definitely leaning towards Matoma over the Diaz goal.
We're such little fanboys of Brighton.
Oh God, they're just so good. They're so fun to watch.
You can't hate on them. Yet.
Yeah. We'll see. They've got time, but I think Matoma takes this one. Just like you said, it was that Messi-esque run. You don't see that too often. Not that you see the overhead Hicks often either, but
he did it from like the half line.
Yeah,
and then said, "Peace, I'm gonna outrace all of y'all and still score." When they do it by themselves, it's always just a little extra special for me. But Diaz kind of did it by himself too, but he was, right place, right time, great flick, great control. Yeah. This is a tight one. I don't think I've ever. I mean, if we go back, I'm sure there are, we had tough debates on who should win it, but this one feels really, really close.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, you're confident Diaz has better in him, so
I'm telling you, dude, the dude's a freak, and he's 24, which he seems way older.
Oh yeah. Wow.
I'm pretty sure, unless he's 25 and I missed a year, but I'm pretty sure he's all right. He's 26. The whole last year screwed me up. Still super young though, same age as Matoma. We'll see them. I guarantee these two guys might be in a debate for the goal of the week.
Over.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if both of them are there. I'm happy with Matoma this time. If we get to this point where we're in a rough debate, maybe we'll default it to Diaz.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that settles that. Anything else you want to bring up? Anything else you want to talk about? I mean, we got next game is Friday. Chelsea Luton. I'll be watching very closely.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Next week, Newcastle Liverpool is probably your big game. Everton Wolves. I mean, relegation battle.
I think Brighton West Ham. I'm interested.
I
think that could be an interesting one. But we'll leave with this. Who you got, Chelsea or Luton? It's a trap.
Since Chelsea's home, I'm gonna lean to them, but just barely, just because the home advantage.
Could you imagine Luton's first Premier League win against $700 million spending Chelsea?
I'm not counting it out. It could definitely happen.
The scenes, Chad. The scenes.
Then we have to have a real talk of if Pochettino's sticking around.
That will be a decider. Okay. Last bit. If Chelsea loses, is Pochettino there on Monday?
I want to say yes, but
the fact we have to think this hard about it, has got to be terrifying for Pochettino.
I mean, in my head, Chelsea keeps going on about their endless long projects.
Said that last year,
long-term deal sort of situation. So there's going to be a lot of lows before there's a lot of highs. So you got to kind of get through this. And Pochettino's a good manager to have. But we know Chelsea likes to win now and not think about the rest. So it could happen. It could be I don't know if he would get sacked, but it's definitely you'll start seeing the articles of it's coming. There's been talk.
It's coming. All right, Chad, with that, I think we're good. Episode 41 in the books. Week 3 of Premier League. We'll see you next Sunday, hopefully. There's no game next Monday, so I think we could probably get our stuff together by Sunday and release this for the people. But with that, welcome back to the mainland. The Hoolies are back. A little sad about it, but also back to normal life. So, all right, with that, Chad, Hooligans are out. All right, peace. Well done. Hour and 8.